Said, I don't want them anywhere near Windsor. If I stumble upon him, I wouldn't even acknowledge him.
He hates so much because he's a two-faced liar. That's what he is.
I mean, Harry and Meghan as a brand, it's a misery machine, which just brings conflict and negative headlines. Look, they're losing sponsors. Could next year be the last Invictus? At which point, no Invictus, no Harry.
Imagine that. I mean, truly, imagine that.
I just feel that Harry's running out of road. He's running out of road as this global influencer.
3:17 a.m., the hour when kings sign their own downfall. The rain doesn't fall. It hammers against Buckingham Palace windows like a judge's gavel coming down on a death sentence. Inside, the king's private study is a tomb of shadows. A single lamp flickers, casting long, trembling fingers across the mahogany desk. There, a document lies open. The heading isn't typed. It's engraved into the paper as if carved with a knife. Irrevocable exclusion order. Princess Diana legacy. His Majesty's hand hovers over it, the pen a sword. One stroke. That's all it takes. Meghan Markle's name is now erased, banned from every memorial, every charity, every official mention tied to Diana's legacy. As if she was never part of the family. As if she never existed. The ink bleeds into the paper like an open wound. And then, the phone rings. The king's private secretary doesn't knock. He doesn't breathe. He just stands in the doorway, his face the color of ash. Sire, it's too late. The story's already out. The receiver slips from Charles's fingers. Because he knows. This isn't just a ban. This is a declaration of war. And Harry? Harry has just been handed the one thing no monarch can survive. A weapon that can bring down the crown itself. But here's what no one is telling you. That phone call wasn't the first domino. It was the last. The real story began 3 weeks earlier, in a room so secret even the Queen's old staff didn't know it existed. The King's private archive. Not the public one, with the polished portraits and the curated history. The real one, where the files are locked behind a door that requires 2 keys, 2 royal signatures, and a biometric scan. Charles and William stand in the dim light, the air thick with the scent of aged paper and something darker, fear. On the table between them, a file. Not thick, not dramatic, just a single, slender folder. But the label makes William's jaw tighten. Project Legacy, Containment Protocol. Inside, a single photograph. Meghan, standing in front of a Diana memorial plaque, her hand resting on the bronze. The date stamp? 2 days ago. The location? Kensington Palace Gardens. The problem? She wasn't invited. Charles flips the photo over. On the back, a handwritten note in red ink. Unsanctioned visit. Security footage confirms no palace approval. His fingers trace the words. Then he looks at William. She knows. Just 2 words. But they hang in the air like a death knell. Because if Meghan knows, Harry knows. And if Harry knows, the world will know. And that's the one thing they cannot allow. Not because of Meghan. Not even because of Harry. But because of her. Diana. The woman whose name still makes the public weep. The woman whose legacy is the last, unbreakable thread holding the monarchy together. And Meghan, whether she realizes it or not, is pulling on that thread. Hard. But then, a detail so small it could be missed. William's eyes flicker to a second document beneath the photo. A legal brief. The header reads, Archwell Productions versus the Crown Estate, pending litigation. His breath catches. Because Archwell isn't just Harry and Meghan's foundation. It's the production company behind the documentary that's been whispered about for months. The one the palace has been desperate to kill. The one that, according to leaked emails, contains previously unseen materials from the late Princess Diana's private collection. Materials that were never supposed to see the light of day. William's voice is low, barely audible. They're going to use her. Charles doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. The look in his eyes says it all. We're already too late. That night, in a Montecito studio that smells of coffee and tension, Harry sits across from a camera crew, his face half in shadow. The director, a former BBC producer known for her ruthless precision, leans in. We have the footage, the letters, the recordings, but we're missing the hook. Harry doesn't hesitate. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a single, yellowed envelope. The paper is brittle with age. The postmark? 1997. The handwriting? Unmistakable. Diana's. The director's breath audibly catches. Is that? Harry's smile is grim. The letter she wrote to her lawyer. The day before she died. The camera operator's hands shake as he zooms in on the envelope. Because they all know what's inside. The one thing the palace has spent 25 years burying. The truth about what Diana really knew. And what she was planning to do with it. But here's the twist. The letter wasn't meant for Harry. It was meant for someone else. A name that hasn't been spoken in royal circles for decades. A man whose connection to Diana was so explosive, so dangerous, that even Charles dared not utter it aloud. And that name is now in Harry's possession. The director swallows hard. If we include this, they'll destroy us. Harry's voice is ice. They'll try. A beat. Then, quieter. But they can't stop the truth. The room falls silent. Because they all know he's right. The palace can ban Meghan from memorials. They can cut Harry off from funds. They can even strip him of his titles. But they cannot unring this bell. And that's when Harry makes the call. Not to his lawyer, not to his PR team, but to Oprah. Again, the next morning, the palace is in full damage control mode. Charles's private secretary bursts into his study, his face white. The Daily Mail has it. They're running the story tomorrow. Headline: Harry's Diana bombshell. The letter that could destroy the monarchy. Charles doesn't flinch. He just picks up a red file from his desk. The label reads, Operation Silent Dawn. Inside, a single, chilling sentence. In the event of unauthorized disclosure, activate Protocol Black. William's eyes widen. You can't be serious. Charles's voice is steel. I've already given the order. Protocol Black isn't a ban. It's an erasure. And it's never been used before. Not on a member of the family. Not on a duchess. But then, Meghan isn't just any duchess. She's the one person who's managed to do what no one else has. She's made them afraid. But here's what the palace doesn't know. While they're activating protocols and drafting statements, Meghan is making a move of her own. And it's not what anyone expects. She's not in Los Angeles. She's not even in the UK. She's in Paris. In a private apartment overlooking the Seine, sitting across from a woman who hasn't spoken to the press in 20 years. Diana's former private secretary. The one who was with her in the final days. The one who knows where the bodies are buried. Literally. The meeting lasts exactly 47 minutes. When Meghan emerges, her face is pale, but her eyes are fierce. She pulls out her phone, dials a number. It's me. We have everything. And I mean everything. The person on the other end doesn't speak. They don't have to. Because Meghan's next words are the ones that will change history. We're not just telling her story. We're telling theirs. The palace finds out 3 hours later. A source inside the Sun leaks the details. Meghan and Harry aren't just planning a documentary. They're planning a series. 6 episodes. Each one dedicated to a different truth the monarchy has tried to bury. And the first episode? The night Diana died. What they don't want you to know. The royal family's response is immediate and brutal. A statement from Buckingham Palace, short and devastating. The king has, with great sadness, made the difficult decision to exclude the Duchess of Sussex from all official events and commemorations related to the legacy of Her late Royal Highness, Princess Diana. This decision is final and irreversible. The world reacts with a mix of outrage and shock. Social media explodes. Hashtag Stand With Meghan trends in 62 countries. The BBC runs a live debate. And then, the first domino falls. Princess and the royal family's most private member, the one who's never broken rank, does the unthinkable. She likes a tweet. Not just any tweet. One from a royal commentator that reads, If Diana were alive today, she'd be ashamed of this family. The palace is in chaos. Charles is furious. William is stunned. And Harry? Harry is watching it all unfold from Montecito, a glass of whiskey untouched in his hand. Because he knows what's coming next. The documentary's trailer drops at midnight. And it doesn't just hint at the bombshells. It detonates them. Clip after clip. Diana's voice, trembling with emotion. If they think they can silence me, they're wrong. A shadowy figure. Their face obscured, but their voice unmistakable. The Queen knew. She always knew. A document, flashed on screen for just a second, but long enough to read the header. The Windsor Files, classified. And then, the final shot. Harry, looking directly into the camera, his eyes burning with a fire no one's ever seen before. They took my mother from me once. They will not take her from me again. The screen cuts to black. The release date appears, 7 days. But here's the detail no one's noticed. In that final shot, Harry isn't wearing his wedding ring. And Meghan? She's not in the trailer at all. The internet loses its mind. Theories fly. Is their marriage over? Is Meghan being silenced? Or is this all part of the plan? The palace, meanwhile, is in full lockdown. Charles cancels a state dinner. William and Kate disappear from public view. And then, the second bombshell drops. A leaked memo from the king's private office. Dated the day after the exclusion order. Subject line, contingency, Article 50. The body? A single sentence. In the event of further escalation, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are to be stripped of all royal patronages and titles, effective immediately. The memo is signed by Charles, and countersigned by William. The public reaction is nuclear. The hashtag abolish the monarchy trends worldwide. Protesters gather outside Buckingham Palace, their signs reading, Diana's son deserves the truth. The Prime Minister is forced to comment. This is a matter for the royal family, he says, his voice careful. But the subtext is clear. This is a disaster. And then, the unthinkable happens. Princess and the woman who spent a lifetime avoiding the spotlight breaks her silence. Not in a statement, not in an interview, but in a letter addressed to Harry. The contents? Leaked to the Times. I cannot, in good conscience, stand by while our family tears itself apart over a woman who gave her life to this institution. If you have the truth, Harry, then for God's sake, tell it. The palace is stunned, and has never, ever gone against the family line. And yet, here she is, siding with Harry, against her own father. Charles's response is immediate, and ruthless, and is stripped of her public duties. No explanation. No warning. Just a cold, official statement. Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal has requested a temporary step back from official engagements. The message is clear. Cross me, and you will pay. But the damage is already done. Because Anne's letter has given Harry the one thing he needed, legitimacy. And with legitimacy comes power. The documentary's release date is moved up 3 days. The palace panics. Emergency meetings. Frantic phone calls. And then, the final, desperate move. A private envoy is sent to Montecito. Not a royal. Not a diplomat. But a lawyer. With an offer. Name your price. Walk away. And this all disappears. Harry's response. A single, chilling text message to his father. Too late. The first episode airs in 72 hours. And father? You should watch it. The night before the premiere, the world holds its breath. And then, the real story breaks. Not from Harry. Not from Meghan. But from Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell. In an exclusive interview with The Guardian, he reveals the one thing no one saw coming. The princess wasn't just writing a tell-all. She was filming it. And she had proof. Proof of things that would have brought the monarchy to its knees. The palace denies it. But the damage is done. Because Burrell doesn't just say it. He proves it. With a single, grainy photograph. Diana, in a private study, a camera crew around her. The date on the photo? August 28, 1997. 3 days before her death. The caption, in her own handwriting, for my sons. So they know the truth. The documentary premieres at midnight. And it doesn't just meet expectations. It shatters them. The first episode opens with a black screen. And then, Diana's voice, crystal clear, as if she's in the room with you. If you're hearing this, then they've failed. And I've won. The screen fades in. Diana, alive, vibrant, sitting in a chair, speaking directly to the camera. There are things about this family that the public deserves to know. Things that have been buried for too long. And then, the first bombshell. Charles wasn't the only one. And Camilla wasn't the first. The camera lingers on her face. And then, the screen cuts to black. The words appear. Episode 2. The Other Woman. The world erupts. But here's the twist no one saw coming. While the world is reeling from the first episode, Meghan makes her move. Not on camera. Not in the press. But in court. Her lawyers file a restraining order against the palace. Not for harassment. Not for defamation. But for attempted erasure. The legal documents are devastating. They allege that the monarchy has been systematically removing Meghan from royal history. Editing her out of photos. Deleting her from official records. Even burning documents that mention her name. And the kicker? They have receipts. Emails. Memos. Video footage of palace staff altering archives. The palace's response? Silence. Because they know. They've been caught. The royal family is in freefall. Charles is nowhere to be seen. William and Kate cancel a long-planned tour of Australia. And Prince Edward? He's spotted at Heathrow, boarding a private jet. No destination given. The public is furious. The press is relentless. And Harry? Harry is winning. But then, the unthinkable happens. A leaked phone call between Charles and William. The audio is grainy, but the words are clear. Charles, his voice shaking. We have to stop this. Before it destroys us. William's response is ice. It's too late for that, father. The only way out is through. And then, the line that will haunt them both forever. You should have let them tell the truth years ago. The call ends. And the world realizes, this isn't just a family feud. This is a reckoning. But here's the detail that changes everything. While the palace is imploding, Meghan is not in Montecito. She's in London, at a private meeting with Diana's sons. Not just Harry. William. The location? A secret apartment in Kensington Palace. The one Diana used to escape the press. The one no one knew still existed. The meeting lasts 6 hours. When Meghan emerges, her eyes are red, but her posture is strong. William doesn't say a word to the waiting photographers. But his face tells the story. He knows. And whatever he's heard, it's broken him. The next day, the palace releases a statement. Not from Charles. Not from William. But from all 4 of Diana's children. The memory of our mother is sacred to us. And we will not allow her legacy to be used as a weapon. Not by anyone. The subtext is clear. Not even by us. The world is stunned. Because this isn't just a truce. This is a surrender. And the winner? The truth. But the question remains. The big question. The one that's been hanging over this entire saga like a guillotine. What did Diana know? And more importantly, who is she planning to expose? The answer comes in the documentary's final episode. And it doesn't just answer the question. It destroys the monarchy's last, fragile defenses. The episode opens with Diana, on camera, her face deadly serious. There are people in this family who have blood on their hands. And I'm not just talking about my blood. The screen cuts to a classified document. The header reads, Operation London Bridge, Contingency Plans. The date? 1997. And then, the final reveal. A voice recording. A man's voice, calm, cold, familiar. The problem isn't just her. It's what she knows. If she goes public, we're finished. The screen fades to black. And then, the words appear. The man on the recording? The king's former private secretary. The one who resigned the day after Diana's death. The world stops. The palace's response is immediate and desperate. A statement from Charles, his voice barely recognizable. The allegations made in this so-called documentary are categorically false, and those who continue to peddle them will face the full force of the law. But the damage is done, because the public doesn't care about denials. They care about one thing: the truth. And for the first time in history, the truth is winning. Harry and Meghan don't gloat. They don't need to, because the documentary's final shot says it all. A live feed. Buckingham Palace. The flag at half-mast. Not for a death, but for a legacy. Diana's. And the words on screen, for the woman who started it all, and the family that tried to bury her. The screen fades to black. The sound of rain against a window. A single lamp burns in the darkness. And then, the final question. The one that will haunt the royal family for generations. The documentary is over. But the story isn't. Because the biggest question remains. What happens next? The camera pulls back, revealing King Charles, alone in his study. His hands are shaking. His crown sits